Hello and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Lester and thank you for joining us for episode 35, where tonight I'm delighted to have back our two regular pundits in the form of Nocky and Tyler, and of course, BBC WM's Daz Hale. Good evening, gentlemen. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Leeds United game, talking about Guedes. If someone can pronounce his name and tell me, that would be great. Talk about Coady's departure, Morgan Gibbs-White, will Forest pay the 30 million, looking ahead to Fulham and taking as many questions as we can. As always, the show is being recorded and going out live. So any of your comments via Facebook or YouTube, we'll try and get them on the screen if they're clean, if they're appropriate, maybe if they aren't. But the live interactions are part of the show, all part of the fun. Tyler, I want to come to you first then. We talked about the Leeds game. I know we've all spoke differently on chats, but we've all had sort of different versions of our opinion. What was your take on the Leeds game?
Yeah, I think I'm in the minority, but I didn't think we were very good, to be honest. I thought we obviously started brightly, got the goal, looked positive, but then I just thought we sort of let Leeds back into it far too easily. They seemed to get a bit of control of the midfield. I think they should have had a penalty. I think Sarr's taken out the guy that got to the header. That's a Stonewall penalty for me. We've gifted them a goal, obviously, individual mistakes. Not sure what Aït-Nouri was doing. I don't mind him doing step overs in the final third, but trying to play out twice and then giving it away, it was just poor, wasn't it? It was just a terrible goal to concede. Got to half time 1-1. I think Dendonker's obviously missed a sit. He's got to score, hasn't he? Got to score. No excuse.
I can't even tell you the words that come out of Nocky's mouth when Dendonker missed that.
I can imagine. And then again, second half, we started well, didn't we? We were on top. We controlling the football match, and then we found a way to lose the game. And I think that's what disappointed me the most. I think if you're not going to win it, just don't lose it. And somehow we contrived to lose the football match. Probably Leeds' only real attempt, apart from the header second half. But I don't think we really created enough second half. No real golden chances. So I'd argue we got what we deserved, really. I think, the crowd were fired up. It pushed Leeds on, and in my opinion, I think they deservedly won the game. But I might be in the minority, but I don't think we were as good as certain people have made out, to be honest.
Well, I'm certainly one of those people. I think it was a good second half. But moving on to you, Daz, 60% possession for Wolves, 15 shots, 6 on target, 4 corners. That's stats that we weren't seeing last season. So for me, it was a visual improvement, and I could kind of see the plan from pre-season, although no surprise, we didn't have a number 9. We didn't take enough of our chances, but that'll come with a striker, won't it?
It's like usually if Wolves score first, they win, except when they play Leeds. Obviously, it's happened the last 2 occasions now, hasn't it? I just thought there was either that we went to a back 4 and you could see what they were trying to do, but again, it was a bit of deja vu, really, wasn't it? It was the two ends, the 2/3 of the field that really matter, making some defensive mistakes. The goalkeeper threw one in, and he was terrific last season, so we'll give him that one. I totally agree about Aït-Nouri, but again, it's at the other end. You've got to be more clinical. And what changed the game were the substitutions. Leeds had options on the bench. We had a creche.
Yeah, that was. I went at the game with Knocker, and we enjoyed some of the parts. I don't know how we managed to both get absolutely soaking wet with the goal. I don't know if it was beer, it was water, but that was a positive because we had a great. Yeah, let's keep it clean. We've gone 8 o'clock on the show tonight. It might have been our sweat actually, because we took about 15 minutes to get into the game when we got to the gates. But my take, and I don't know how close. I know Knocker was a bit angry afterwards, which is no surprise, to be honest. But I actually thought Wolves. But that 25 minutes, I'm mainly focusing on that. I know we lost. But for that 25 minutes, I could see what I'd seen all pre-season. But this was the big test. Yes, Leeds probably aren't the best Premier League side, and Wolves should have done better, Knocker. But, let's get your take on it.
Yeah, I don't think we were terrible. I think the concern for me is that I expect Leeds to be down there with us because I think they were really poor. And the fact that we only managed 1 goal against a team that I expect to concede a lot of goals this season is a little bit of a concern for me. But I completely agree with Daz. The game was won and lost on the bench because there wasn't a great deal in it. I think a draw was probably about right for me. But there was just nothing on the bench. Hwang had a decent game. I thought that he led the line well. He set the goal up. I thought his movement caused him a few problems, but then he looked like he was carrying an injury and we have to bring on Chem Campbell. And I'm sure Chem Campbell's going to have a fantastic career, but he should be nowhere near that first team. He's 4 years away at least. For me, he should be out on loan, getting some experience, cutting his teeth at lower levels. You should never be reliant on him. When you look at the bench, I went to the game against the Albion in the under-23s, and most of that bench were in that team. So to go into the first game of the Premier League season with that bench, for me, is an utter disgrace. When we're not a newbie to this league, we're 5 years in now, and that's the bench we can muscle up. And it's completely unacceptable. And we needed some form of quality on the bench. I'm not expecting us to go out and spend 200 million to reinforce the team, but there was options there for us to help us to have a little bit more stability. They brought on a couple of players, and their bench was pretty light on the ground as well, but they had a little bit of extra quality, which helped them freshen things up. And I think the last 20 minutes, I don't think we barely got in there half because everyone was out on their feet. So for me, it was disappointing. I wouldn't have been too annoyed with the point, but I think, we scored a really good opening goal. And then the mistake from Ait-Nouri and Sarr's horrendous. And I think it was just individual errors that cost us, really.
Well, they brought on Gelhardt and Click. They're the guys I really know. I know Greenwood because he's a cheap fantasy football option, and I don't know Somerville. But still, some of those guys are seasoned professionals that have some previous Premier League experience. Chem Campbell, I don't know if he's played Premier League minutes. He may have made an appearance before. I don't recall it. I thought he'd only had like a cup game here and there. My time strikes back to when we lost 2-1 to Villa. Newcastle. I think he played in the League Cup game against Villa. But so my opinion is that game was lost at the substitutions. But not only that, lost because we didn't have a number 9. I'm still struggling to understand why we would loan out Fabio and not have a replacement. I don't mind loaning Fabio out, and he's had 3 goals in 4 games. Fantastic start. But Daz, why are we loaning out our only backup for Raul without having a replacement in first? Surely you wait to get your man in before doing it. Where's the logic in this?
Well, there ain't none, is there? It's some very bizarre decisions that have been made, from the decision to let Adama always wanted to play for Barcelona. You go on loan, and that was pants down time. Same thing's probably going to happen now with Coady. And when Silva goes out the door, everyone just said, well, clearly we're bringing someone in there. Now, obviously, Guedes is coming now, he can play as a central striker. They've been still trying to get Batshuayi over the line, but you get them in and then you let them go. Especially when it's on loan. It's not like somebody's put the money down and gone, here's whatever, and then you take it. It's like it was a seller's market in that sense. So anyone else would have gone, yeah, you can have him on loan, but only when we've bought in player X, player Y, player Z. And I mean, look to that bench. I think, already with the amount of injuries we've got, and I think Hwanga's got something, and we're already been without Semedo, Moutinho, who of course pulled up the day before, Traore, Raul, Toti Gomez, Chiquinho's out for probably the season. So already we are down to the bare bones, and like it's a small squad anyway. It's bordering on the negligent, isn't it? Yeah. Where we are at the moment,
and that's a scary thing. I just don't understand the logic, and it took everybody. We all got excited when Fabio went out. I'm a Fabio fan. I know Knocker and Tyler are split a bit. I'm not so sure. I think he's a great player, but I think he would have offered something at Leeds that we didn't have. I thought Hwang actually probably had in terms of his football, not goals, he probably had his best game in a Wolves shirt. He looked strong, and he did the job. He got his body between the defender and the ball, and he got upset the pitch. And I was pleased because I want to be wrong about Hwang, and I want him to do well. He's not a number 9, but you know what? The fans took to him, didn't they, Knocker? Everyone could appreciate, he was having a proper go at it. But what I would say is, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and you could never know. But if Fabio was in that team on Saturday, I'm sure we'd have had more than 1 goal. Now, I know we got no goals last year, but the link-up play, the previous relationship with Podence, the footballers round him, Gibbs-White likes to touch and go. Fabio loves that little one-touch stuff. I just don't understand. Wait until you've got someone in. We all just assumed, right, Fabio's going, great. Who's our striker? Brilliant. There must be someone better than Fabio coming. We're all excited about it. And you get to Leeds and you're like, oh, no forward. For me, I tweeted about it. I totally hold the custodians who are in charge of the transfer business, our recruitment. That result is their responsibility. I don't think the players could have done much more. I don't think the manager could have done much more. I don't like losing, but when you've only got just about 11 players that you can put out, what more can they do? I mean, can someone give me any logic, or are we all on the same page here? Because for me, it just makes no sense. I know it's finger pointing, but I think you said, Tyler, we're an established Premier League football club. We've been here now. We've been in Europe, FA Cup semi-final. There's seasoned international legends playing for our club, Joe Martinho, and we've had Rui Patricio. This is an established Premier League football club. I don't understand. Yes, you have to allow for a couple of injuries, but before those injuries, we were thin anyway. So the question is, though...
I was going to say, someone tweeted it saying, "What is it an arrogance? Do we think we're good enough to be able to almost throw points away?" And that's a little bit how it felt. You know, we've signed a player this week that I think Wolves admitted themselves they've been after for 3 years. Why are we signing them now? They should be in. You know, there's no excuse. And someone made a great point. Is it an arrogance? Do we think we can afford to, like I said, not throw points away, but go in live because we?
Yeah, I've got that tweet, Tyler.
That'll soon bite you on the backside, don't it? You know, so.
Yeah, I've got that tweet as one of the questions going in. So, while we're also on the topic of the game, I'd like to bring this one up and get people's opinion in. I know this is definitely going to sort of split things up. Manuel Serpa, please allow me to repeat my Twitter question. I think a back five would have stopped at least one of those goals. Would you have won with Coady, Collins and Kilman at the back? We seem a little toothless. I'll give my take on that first. I don't think so. Defensively, would we have been better? Yes. Would we have got up the pitch to score the goal? I don't know. It's a great question, and we're never going to tell. And we'll go on to Coady in a bit later on. But I think Nick Goff said this in one of his tweets, the longer Coady was around, we're always going to get if we had a back five with Coady, and we wouldn't have let that goal in, that goal in. So now that's cut, and we have to move on to a 4. Great question, Manuel. I don't know. Would we have been as attacking on Saturday? Probably not. Would we have conceded 2? Probably not. So I really can't tell. Daz, your take on that question?
Well, they were individual errors, weren't they? So it's all hypotheticals, but you know, it's not like this is the way we're going. I think we've been crying out for it for a long time. The reason he's gone to the 4 is to give us a little bit more attacking intent because we couldn't score goals last season. I think we failed to score in 17 games or 18 games, pretty much half of our fixtures last season. That's a lot. And we conceded plenty of goals with playing with the back 3 as well. So it's all hypothetical, but this is the way we're going. We're trying to evolve. But ultimately, if there's individual error, you can coach stuff on the training ground to the cows come home. But if the goalie throws one in at his near post, or your left back thinks he's Johan Cruyff in his own penalty area, then it don't matter what system you play. Them errors still happen, don't they?
But let's not pretend that we were watertight with 3 at the back, though.
No,
because,
exactly.
We shipped several goals. I think we won, 1 out of our last 13 games?
That was our last win.
3 at the back. That was our last win, so 13 games ago. So
11 points from the last 14 games last season.
And we're not scoring goals. We're averaging less than a goal a game for 2 seasons in a row. Our top scorer has got less than 6 goals for our second season in a row. So, yes, the 5 at the back gives us a little bit more stability in that area, but the football was dreadful to watch. It was boring. We were really tepid, and we were just focused on not conceding. And as soon as the first goal went in, you might as well have just packed your bags and gone home because you knew there was no way back into it. So the 5 at the back he did a job for us, got us into the Premier League, got us into Europe, but you've got to evolve the football team, and we can't stick with that for the rest of our lives.
The plan was last season to go with a 4. That's why he put Yerson Mosquera in. Then obviously he got injured, and Bolly was injured for most up till the new year and never really recovered his form anyway. But that was the plan 12 months ago when he came into the club. That's what he wanted to implement, which he'd done so successfully previously at Benfica. So,
well, I want to look at a few positives from the game. I know we know about Ain't Nouri, who'd had a great pre-season error. The Jose Sarr threw one at the near post, but let's move away from that and look at the positives. In terms of that 25 minutes, I know I'm focusing on that a lot. It's not a whole game. But I could see the picture then. You could see what we want to do. The wing-backs getting up higher. They settled into a little bit more in the second half. For that spell, we had Leeds totally pinned. Yes, they're not the best Premier League side, and they'll be in amongst it, I reckon, in the bottom third. But going forward, you add Raul into that. You add Guedes into that. You add another centre midfielder into that.
Well, Martinho, and I think they worked on that shape with Joe Martinho up until the Friday when he got injured. So that's something else that was a bit of a spanner in the works.
But it's until he gets to the final third, I think Dendoncker does a fantastic job. I thought he did a lot of good recoveries. He was neat and tidy. I thought he did really well with his pressing. But as usual, Dendoncker, he's best asset isn't particularly in the final third. I don't know who's scratching there, boys. If it's one of us, let me mute me, see if it's me. Is it stopped? Might be me then. Me with the sound issues again. I've got Knocker's microphone.
I thought it was Knocker was having his Rice Krispies. Nice from the 70s there for everybody.
I was doing my toenails mid-show. But positives. Tyler, who was your Wolves man of the match on Saturday?
I hate to say it because how much flack we're given, but I thought Bang was excellent. I couldn't fault his performance, and I've been one of his biggest critics, saying he's the opposition's best player and how he gives the ball away. But first off, in particular, he was excellent. The knockdown for the goal was superb.
Yeah, fantastic. Proper centre forward play.
Yeah, I thought the one for Dendoncker was even better, and he could have easily walked off with 2 assists in the first half. He ran the channels well. You said earlier on, he got himself between the defender and the ball. It wasn't a bad centre forward display, really, was it? It was just lacking a goal, and I thought he was as good as we could have expected. And is that his best position? Who knows? Is he better as a striker? Is he better as a centre forward, where he's further up the pitch? He's less need to come into our own half to come and get the ball and then probably give it to the opposition. So I couldn't fault him. I thought he was very good. He got my vote anyway.
Who was your best player, Knocker?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I thought Hwang had a really good game. I thought he ran the channel really well, I think, and he pulled players out of position. His energy was a problem for him. And like you say, he did really well for the goal. And if you look at the 3 who were playing behind him, I think he outshone all of them for me. I don't think anyone else stood out the way that he did it. Yes, I agree with Tyler. I think Hwang was the best player.
So, Daz, unless it's Hwang, who's your second best player?
I agree. And I think with Hwang is that he hadn't had a proper pre-season with us last year. And obviously this year he's been off on his national service and he's still struggling to get fit. It looks like he might be injured again. I'd go along with that. A word, we already mentioned Dendoncker. And again, the player that people hardly ever mention, but he's always 7 out of 10. I thought Johnny was tidy as well.
Yeah, I just think in that first half, they almost I don't think it was stage fright, but that free flow, they didn't seem to. It was a little bit stiff, and I know obviously the Premier League and going to Leeds, it's a bit more intimidating and it's a bit more fast and furious, but they didn't seem to have that sort of belief in themselves. It almost took them half the game. I know we scored the goal and it was a decently worked goal, but I think it took them half just to settle down.
Was that not the pace of the game, though? Because Leeds play at 100 miles an hour. And
you did say that at the game, Knocker. You did say that,
It felt like a cup tie. I think second half, when everyone had settled down a little bit, I think for the first sort of 15, 20 minutes, we were in control of the game at that point. We were picking it around nicely. But the first half was like a cup tie for me. So I think it is difficult to settle. But I do agree, yeah, we did look a little bit uncomfortable at times.
Moving away from the Leeds game then, things that have been coming up in this week, and it has been a crazy week. Let's start with Coady. In my lifetime, in all our lifetimes, the most successful club captain at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Maybe not Daz's lifetime, Ryan. He remembers the 50s and the 60s.
Well, Daz has got his ticket from the 1960 FA Cup final, but we'll talk about that on a separate podcast. Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. Tyler started it. You know what I mean? So, really interesting one. I mean, there's so much filtering out now. I don't know if anyone heard his Talk Sport interview earlier on. I thought that was a little bit prickly. I know people that were close to Coady in and around Wolves that say they weren't particularly happy the way he's treated. You see other people say as soon as he was out of the team, he's jumping ship. There's no real read in it, but regardless of the opinion, the guy deserves respect. I've given him stick in the past, mainly because for me, his inclusion meant we could only play one way. And the manager's obviously acknowledged that now. And we've gone with a back four. And as I said earlier on, him being in and around the squad means there'd always be that, if Coady was playing, if we had 5 at the back, that's gone now. Coady was the captain, the sweeper, the main man behind 3-4-3. That's gone. He deserves credit. He deserves praise. I wish him all the best for the future. It's still, though, I don't think everyone's behind the decision. Now, it doesn't really matter if they're not, but some of the fans, I've seen on Twitter, social media, some fans are really mad, really mad about it. And I was interested just to get your take on the whole situation. I've been mean to you, Dad, so you start us off on the Coady situation.
Well, I'd like to echo everything you said about, and I think we've been lucky to have some really good captains in recent years, even like Danny Bart again as an ambassador and the way he led the team, and Sam Ricketts. So I think we've had some good captains. This has been on the cards for quite some time. There's been a lot of rumblings about this. It hasn't happened just in the last few days. People were talking about this even in January, that this was possibly on the cards. And Bruno Lage doesn't want to play in a back four. Conor Coady clearly doesn't think that he can play in a back four. I know that's been, a lot of us have been saying it for a long time. Well, if he's sitting there and only wants to go with the four, he's been angling to get out of the club, which he's more than entitled to do, by the way. It was interesting, his comments today, that he was cheering the lads on Saturday, but he didn't feel right. Well, go and ask John Ruddy how he's felt for the last 3 years.
Yeah, that was strange.
He was the first one. He's been absolutely fantastic around the place, John Ruddy. And as Conor is with England as well, when he's not involved with England. But look, football moves on. And if Wolves have decided they want to go to a back four, and clearly he's not even the next cab off the rank, otherwise possibly he'd have stood around a bit longer. And I know there's a World Cup coming. But for me, we're just being too bloody nice again. Look, if you don't want to stay, put in a transfer request. If Everton want you, put the money down. And even then the talk is like 12, 15 million, which I think is bizarre for a 29-year-old who's been pretty much an ever-present for the last, I don't know how many years, and who plays for England and even wears the armband for England during games. For me, look, if you want to go, fine. Thank you very much. And you'll be a legend at the club. But put your transfer request in then and do it properly. Everton, if you want him, put the money down on the table. Why are we being so accommodating? And just, for me, it'd be like, all right, well, if an offer comes in, we'll take it. In the meantime, you are our club captain and you'll behave like a club captain. So I'm a little bit disappointed with the way, again, it's been handled by everybody personally.
Yeah, great takes on that. There's loads of people in the comments agreeing with you. And put it far better than I did in there. I don't feel bad about it because Nuno turned Coady and Wolves into something we never thought would be. I bet Coady never saw himself playing for England when he was a utility centre midfielder and right back. And we were, I think, 13th or something in the Championship when Nuno took over.
Great lad, been a great captain. Football moves on. So, why are we loaning him out?
Well, I want to talk about this as well. So, Knocker, let's get your take on this because I don't know. I mean, I know if you've got your kids, please move them away from your laptop or right now. But so Everton today or yesterday, I don't know who it was, they confirmed signing a player for about £30 million. Yet we're loaning our player out. Now, I've spoken and I have proper whinged about this to various people to WhatsApp, and they're all guaranteeing me saying, Ryan, don't worry, stop wrecking your house. It's definitely a permanent move. It's, as Daz says, did we not learn our lesson with Adama? Why are we helping Everton? Or is it the other side, Knocker? Are we being nice to Coady because of what he's provided for the club? I don't know, but Daz has got a point putting transfer request in. Wolverhampton Wanderers are not a charity. I want them to be gentlemen, but you know what? The progression of the club is more important than any individual. Mark Knock.
It stinks of the Adama deal, doesn't it? I mean, there's no obligation in place. There's no guarantee. And not only that, we've strengthened a team who could potentially be in and around us come the end of the season, and we've given them our captain. I've got no issue with him going. I completely understand the thought process around playing for England. He wants to be in the World Cup. But it does sit a little bit uncomfortable with me. I do kind of get the impression that the first time things have got a little bit difficult, he's jumped ship. So if we're going to get rid of him, I'm with Daz. I think let's get a price. And for an England captain the lad who has captained England, captains Wolves, played in Europe, it just seemed a bit low for me. I think we should be looking minimum 25, 30 million. He's English as well, which you always get an additional tax on that. So I think some of his comments are a little bit prickly, as we've said. And I think there's a little bit more to it than perhaps meets the eye. I mean, there's been talk in the past of a bit of dressing room unrest based around the four at the back, and that's been discredited by certain people in the media. But for me, there's a lot of things kind of slotting into place on this, and I wish him all the best. I don't have a bad word to say about him, but I just think there's more to this than we know. It's almost as if they've been accommodating in a sense, but also almost desperate to get him out of the club. Whether that's so that Bruno can start building his own system because he was the last part of the Nuno era, really, or not. But it does seem to me like it's been a case of getting him out of the club as quick as we can.
But Tyler, moving on to you, why again are fans looking at the transfer deal? You two proved me wrong on the Adama. I said to you, there is absolutely no way Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club are letting Adama Traore go. Someone who was coming into form, it was brilliant away at Brentford, who come on, goal against Southampton the week before, coming into his own. There's no way we're letting Adama go with nothing. You proved me wrong. I couldn't understand it. Now, it may have happened again. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen anything, Daz, in terms of a loan fee. I don't know. One thing I would say about the deal, there seems to be a lot of goodbyes. It seems to be quite permanent in terms of the acknowledgement from the player and that kind of stuff, and what Say said and what people have said on social media. It feels almost like, to me, we've done it for Coady to help him out quickly to get a World Cup run, but we've also helped Everton financial fair play, which no one helps Wolves. Barcelona showed how you should treat other teams when you loan players. But Tyler, yeah, I'd love to get your take on it.
No, I think Knocking nailed it, to be fair. I think they wanted him out of the football club quite quickly and quite efficiently. You just said yourself 10 minutes ago, if Coady hangs around like a bad smell, there's all the talk about, well, why is Coady not playing? Why have Wolves changed the system? Why is the formation?
Well, it's all over national media now. You've only got to listen to any of the national medias or look at their tweets. There's people crying, I don't understand why Wolves are getting rid of Coady. There's no research. It's a trendy thing. Coady is a fantastic human. He's a popular person, and people are picking over the person in terms of the progression of the club. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I think if Everton will go to a back three now, what will Everton do? It's interesting. Yeah, and you're right. Sorry to jump in. It's just that, again, the national media, look, and I really don't want it to be seen as if I'm having a dig at him at all, because I am absolutely not, and I echo everything you said at the start. But we all know, who watch Wolves regularly, he can't play in a four because he's not great in the air. He gets bullied by big players, and he's got no pace. As a reader of the game, as a sweeper, he reads the game fantastically well. He's he's a very good communicator, and he's cultured on the ball, which were the real positives, hence all the diagonals to the wing backs. And that was what he was good at. But if we're not going there, the people who from the outside looking in saying, what are Wolves doing? Well, they, as you say, they haven't watched him play in a four. Even Kenneth Zohore bullied him when he was playing for Cardiff. He can't do it. He just can't do it.
But that's why I think Knock is right. That's not going to be talked about now because he's gone. He's left. And I genuinely think Knock is nailed it. They wanted him out quickly. And he's gone now, hasn't he? And we're not going to talk about it anymore. And we've gone to the back four. And that's the end of that. I listened to his TalkSport interview. And I might be being a bit kind. But I didn't find it prickly or anything like that. But that's just my take on it. I thought he genuinely likes Wolverhampton Wanderers. He wanted to go and play football. He seems to enjoy his football. He seems to love playing football. I didn't really think it was too sour, to be honest, but that's just my take.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly splitting the fan base, and it's an open door for anybody to throw criticism at Wolves. If Wolves off to a bad start, you shouldn't have got Coady. It'll be Mick McCarthy all over again. You can see it now. Great human, great person. Wish him well. But
one 21 when McCarthy went, but of course that's all rewritten as well now, hasn't it?
But I'm far more a Wolverhampton Wanderers fan than a Conor Coady fan, and I don't wish him. I wish him, his family. They've brought some fantastic times to the club. He has been a great ambassador. He's been great to people. Fantastic. I slightly disagree with Tyler. I do think it was a little bit prickly. I've seen some of his nearest and dearest saying, "Oh, it's nice to see you smiling again." I don't know if they were digs or not. I don't know, but are we supposed to accommodate somebody? And let's be really honest now. If we're playing to a back four, which was been the plan for a year, as Daz said, but Mascaro got injured, what's he supposed to do with him? You're not going to get. You're not. I mean, he was in the England squad. He didn't kick a ball in the Euros. You are not going to go to the World Cup if you're not playing football and if you're not playing in the big games anyway.
And I know that it'd been suggested, he could play in midfield. Well, look, he wasn't given 1 second in midfield all pre-season, so clearly that was never going to happen, was it?
Well, I mean, let's get it all out about Coady now, so we can move on in the coming weeks. But
I think you need a Coady special, right, in the way you're going, son.
Well, I'm getting it all I'm getting it all off my chest now, but I know everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I saw Coady playing the Championship as a holding midfielder in the Championship, and he scored a great goal against Wolves of Huddersfield, I think, the previous season. But he really struggled in that role. Yes, he's improved as a footballer, but I don't think he's any more mobile than he was then, and that was the main issue. Then he was getting found out. You know what? He might play a holding midfielder for Everton, and I might be wrong, but I do not see that guy playing as a Premier League midfielder. I don't. I might be wrong. I absolutely don't.
No.
I was just looking on the screen here, Daz. In pre-season, Everton lost 4-0 to Minnesota. Frank Lampard tried a back four for that game. I think that was them saying the end of that's the back four. They've lost Yerry Mina. He's out for a month. And they've lost the young lad who's probably out for. Godfrey with a horrendous injury.
Yeah.
So that looks bad. So they're probably down to 3. They've got the two English lads. Well, they'll have 3 English lads. They'll have 3 centre backs there now. The two ex-Burnley lads, Tarkovsky, Keane, and Coady.
I know more about Everton than Wolves, don't I? Look at my Everton squad, Molly. It's excellent, isn't it?
Can't get about this guy. So yeah,
I think you can get really romantic about players, and you can look.
I wonder where we were going then, Knocker.
No, I mean, we were at Villa Park and we all saw the memories of
that was romance.
Just after the equalise, and we've had some great moments with Coady. But if Wolves do well, if Wolves go on a run now, you won't hear a word about Conor Coady. The only time you're going to hear anything is if Wolves start going, losing a few football matches. And as much as I love the guy, as far as I'm concerned, he's not a Wolves player anymore, and nothing would give me greater pleasure than Max Kilman pinching his place for the World Cup. So as far as I'm concerned, as much as I love him, it's over now. We can't sit on romance. We had it all last season with people commenting every time Jota scored, and everyone we've been linked.
It's a Wolves thing.
It is a Wolves thing. We have this romantic thing that we shouldn't have done this or we shouldn't have done that. It's gone now. It's over, and he wanted to go. That's the important thing to remember.
Yeah, no other set of fans seems to keep going on and on about players that don't play for us anymore. You don't see it from any other football clubs. As soon as someone leaves and scores a goal, it's you're right. I think he was as integral as anybody though in the success of
absolutely
the
massive.
I think he was that important. He's up there with the Neveses and the Jotas because he captained that side.
I think about what Knocker said there. I mean, I'd like to hear him record that and put it to Dry Your Eyes by the Streets, because I think that could be the extra verse. It's fantastic, mate.
But it is just that romantic element to it that we've all got a connection with our football club, and I'm sure every other fan base is the same, but you can't live on those memories. We've got to evolve our football club, and we can't evolve a football club if we're going to stick doing the same things that haven't really worked for the last couple of years in terms of exciting football and scoring goals. And we've been shipping goals. Burnley come and put 4 past us. West Ham put 4 past us. So as good a player and an ambassador as he's been for the club, and as much as I wish him nothing but success in his career, that's gone now. Jota's gone. He's gone. Let's move on and focus on the players who are rich. We've signed a really good centre-half from Burnley, who for me has got the potential to go to a very, very high level. We've got Max Kilman, who I think is probably the best young English centre-half I've seen come through at Wolves and play for the club. Those are the players that we want to focus on now.
Instead of the futsal thing now, every time Wolves play, it'll be Nathan Collins. He's the most expensive Irish player of all time. That's the new one. That's the new futsal. I'm calling it now.
I just wanted to move on to one thing that I picked up on then, Knocker, in terms of your little swipe hoping Kilman takes Coady's place. And unfortunately, he's not going to drop Coady from the squad. But however, he probably will drop Tyrone Mings, who's not starting for Villa now. So left-footed, same position. I think Kilman's got a massive chance now. I thought he was good on Saturday. Didn't really do anything wrong. I think he's had a good pre-season. Max Kilman's got a massive opportunity to go to the World Cup. I know we've sort of digressed a little bit there, but yeah, just picking up on it.
Scored as well.
Oh,
sensational.
We enjoyed that one, didn't we, Knocker? So yeah, that was good. That was good. So we've covered Coady. Then I think that's the end of that. We don't want to talk about him again. I'm seeing lots on social media. I don't know. I might tweet about it. I don't know. Okay, let's go on to an arrival this week. Wolves have been chasing him for years. Apparently, he's 27.5 million for Guedes. I believe we pronounce it Daz. For me, a fantastic sign. This is for me a proper big signing. This is a known footballer, played in the Champions League, playing for probably the 4th biggest club in Spain. For me, it's good value. I always think in the modern game you can judge how good a player he is by how angry the fans are at what price is left. They are absolutely livid. They've sold him and they can't believe for the price. So thank you, Uncle George. Again, we'll take that. It's nice to be on the carousel. When it's for us, I'm all for it. Guys, Tyler, what's your take on this signing?
I think you've covered it. It's one of those that gets you excited again, isn't it? It's like a statement signing. It's a big signing. And, you know, me and Knocker have vocally bashed Fosun more than anybody. But so far, a couple of marquee signings at near enough £50 million. I suppose the only question is, does it still mean there's a big sale to happen if we are going to be self-sufficient? But
we'll talk about him next.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? I mean, top player. I mean, I'm no Spanish football expert, but everything you read is really good. Some of the goals he scored look phenomenal. A couple of journos that are more qualified than me have sort of likened him a little bit to Jota, a little bit, you know, head down, feisty, ferocious, knows where the goal
Looks
is,
strong.
direct. And we've missed him, haven't we? I'm sorry, Knocker, I brought Jota up, but we have missed him since he's gone.
He's going to start talking about Tony Diddy in a minute, isn't he?
No, but I think we've missed that directness, someone to get the ball and drive forward. And you can only get excited about him, Neto, Podence, Jimenez, Gibbs-White if he stays. I mean, if we only score 38 goals this season again, I think we just all call it a day, don't we? Because there's something clearly wrong. But
was a Dharma as well, may well be here still.
If he stays, exactly. Those forward options.
Stop it.
Are as good as it.
Oh, I've just heard he's got. I've just heard Guedes has got on loan to grasshoppers.
that wouldn't surprise.
Don't joke about that, Daz. That's got potential.
So,
but on paper, they're great. They're great forward options, aren't they? And only the top four have probably got better. So it's just if we can get it working.
Daz, I know me and Tyler have waxed about Guedes there, but your take on him and the feel round sort of the journalist world as well. It seems to have a lot of people have like it was sort of something that's been boiling for a few years, but this is a proper signing for Wolves.
Well, I mean, the proof of the pudding will be, you know, once we see him in the Premier League. But it is one of those signings that takes you back to the early part of the Fosun era, isn't it? And he's you know, nearly £30 million. He looks the real deal. He looks ready. Chuck him in on Saturday. You know,
absolutely.
He's been training 4 or 5 times with them. Just get him out there. Get him. It'll get obviously the crowd will be up for it anyway for the first home game. But it's exciting, and he seems to have everything. But we won't know until we see him playing in the Premier League, will we? But you know, it feels, as you said, like a marquee sort of statement, and we need more now.
Absolutely. Knocker, just finishing off with you on that one. Podence, Neto, Guedes, Gibbs-White if he stays, Traore, Jimenez and another striker. If that's our options after the transfer window, that's a good summer for Wolves, isn't it?
Yeah, we're not far away at all, are we? I think we've got some decent options in that position, but obviously we don't know what it's going to look like come 1st of September. But in terms of Guedes, I think he looks set for the Premier League. He looks a pretty strong laddie. I mean, I'm sure everyone else was YouTubing him the same as me, but he looks strong. He's holding people off. He's got a good shot on him. He's got good movement. He's a bit of pace about him as well. So, yeah, I do think he's a little bit. He does have that little bit of Jota about him, which we have been badly missing since we got rid of him. We all know that. So, I think we've got a lot of Chris's. I don't think there's many teams other than sort of the big four who would have more exciting attacking options if we can find a formula to get them all firing, because we've definitely got potential. Keeping him fit's the biggest challenge.
But it's the options there. I mean, Raul, apparently he's not too far away. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what I'm told. He's not too far away in terms of a couple of weeks, but he must be licking his lips. He's got this supply line behind him now, and judging by pre-season and on Saturday, how high the fullback's prepared to go, the supply line for any number 9 there, there's multiple chances a game. So I'm really excited. I mean, I'm sure you guys have as well. As Tyler said, I'm no Spanish expert, in La Liga expert, but I have YouTubed that player to within an inch of his life. And some of those goals are just, and it's not just one cutting inside thumper. There are multiple times that guy's cut inside, bang, 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 and with his left foot as well. So, and Jota, sorry about that, Tyler, he was exactly the same. He could score on both feet and cut inside. So, very, very exciting.
I'm more of a Brummy than you, mate. So it was always Jota to me. So, yeah, it's always Jota.
All right, boys. Sorry.
It's because he's moved to a nice part of the world now, and
He's in
don't be like that.
Bracknell now, isn't he? He might as well be in London, mightn't he?
No, Brackley, mate,
he
not
doesn't pinch
Bracknell.
glasses from the pub anymore.
Same thing. Brackley, Bracknell, whatever.
Look, lads, know where my roots are. Shirley Beer Festival. Cheers, boys.
There you go. You can take the boy out of Shirley.
Don't be like that.
He's got Pims in the glass, though.
And so what if I might have been in the zoo today? You know what it's like. Time is flying by. We've done 40 minutes. Great poddy. I hope you're all enjoying it out there. Thanks for your comments. As always, it's a live show. You're listening to the Wolves Report with Daz Hale, Mark Knight, Chris Tyler, and myself, Ryan Lester. We try and get as many comments on the screen as we can, get as many questions up. So thank you for your interaction so far, and I hope you are enjoying the show. We seem to talk about this on the last few podcasts. We need to talk about it again. The final topic before we move on to looking to the Fulham game and taking a couple of questions, we need to talk about Morgan Gibbs-White. This situation, I think, is only going to end one way. It's just a matter of, for me, it's when, not if. The total package that Wolves turned down was to be alleged 42 million. Now, I don't think the add-ons were realistic, but this is a player that's had a good season in the Championship. Not a brilliant one, a good one. He's done what was asked of him, scored some good goals, created a lot. Where does this end? Daz, I'd love to get your take on Gibbs-White.
Look, personally, I'd take the money now. It's difficult, isn't it? Again, £40 million, as you mentioned there, in a year, whether he stays or goes now, whether he stays at Wolves or goes from Wolves, in a year's time, if he has a good season in the Premier League, he could be worth 70, 80 million. In a year's time, he could be worth 5 million. He's yet to be proven in the Premier League. And he's had a lot of, in fairness, he's been in and out, and he's not been played in any sort of regular sort of position. But apart from his debut, when they decided to wax lyrical about him on Match of the Day, was at Chelsea. In the Championship, he's been terrific, and you can see why Steve Cooper wants him. He'd had him at Swansea before. Bruno started the season with it. He did okay on Saturday. £40 million. I personally would take it, but as I say, in a year's time, he might be worth a lot more. He might literally be seen as a Championship player in a year's time. So for me, now you get to that point where you think, I think I'd reinvest that in someone who's proven and who actually wants to be at the football club, because there's been a contract offer on the table for quite some time now, and he's reluctant to sign it, isn't he?
So, yeah, Gary Wassell there, he's put a message on. He's basically, he wants to keep Gibbs-White at Wolves. Now, I can understand, and I get why fans want to keep him. I totally get that. But equally, we have to look at it and protect ourselves. Because if he has a great season, he's got a year left, he might think, I'll just ride this out. And then Wolves, we're not going to get 40 million a year if he's got a year left in his contract. It's just not happening. Now,
for an academy player, it's all profit as well.
It is all profit. And this is only alleged, so I don't know. But there were some incidents on Saturday. I think there was some fallout amongst his family and friends with the fans. For me, I think that relationship is totally broken. I know there was some unpleasantries with his partner and some fans, which is totally unnecessary and acceptable. I think the relationship is broken. I don't think it will come back. On Saturday, I thought he didn't look out of place, but he certainly didn't look like a £40 million footballer. He didn't look out of place. It's a real tricky one. I have criticised him a lot, but I would happily, if he came, signed, and proved me wrong, I would eat humble pie, because it's the best thing for Wolverhampton Wanderers. But I don't think he's great on the right-hand side. I don't think he's going to sign a contract. Someone messaged me early on today. They think Forest will come back with a 30 million with very few add-ons. For me, that's enough. If you're giving me 30 million direct, I'll take that. Knocker.
I'd sell him tomorrow, I've got to be honest. I think
Butter it up, mate.
I'll put it out as a baby.
I don't think he'll ever be worth this amount of money again. And I completely understand what Daz is saying. If he has a good season, he's worth 70 million. I don't see any of that. I think he's if you look at that attacking lineup that we had against Leeds, he was probably the weaker of the
weakest of the front four,
in my opinion.
No doubt about it.
And that's not a dig at him, because I know he's only just come back into the team. The others have been playing together for a while, but he hasn't signed a new contract. And whenever Wolves start talking about contracts, as opposed to just announcing someone signed a contract, usually I think the writing's on the wall. So I don't think he wants to be here. I think Forest will come back in. If we can get anywhere near 30 million for Gibbs-White, I think we'd be completely off our heads to turn it down, because he's never going to be worth this amount of money again. So for me, you sell him. And the players we bought in as well. I know that we have money from television and that, but we do run a self-sufficient model, so they're going to have to recoup some of that money. So for me, if they can get 30 million and then anything in add-ons, and I don't see any reason they're going to turn that down, because I
did say as well,
I don't think he's as
5
good.
million in a year. That's the point now. I think we've reached it.
Yeah, and I completely agree, Des. I think that everyone's basing this 40 million round a really good season for Sheffield United in the Championship. But for me, I don't see anywhere that lad's worth 40 million quid or will ever be worth anywhere near that.
Tyler, imagine at the end of last season, we'd have said to you, we're going to give you Guedes, we're going to swap him for Gibbs-White, and we're going to give you 5 million on top. How are you feeling about that? Nobody out there would have said no to that. You're going to make money technically swapping those players round and make a profit. Tyler.
Yeah, it's a full house. I'm selling him as well for anything upwards of 25 million. I think but like Dad said, we're a bit nice. Let's be RC about it. Let's wait till the last week and let's demand 30, 35 million. Why not?
Yeah.
Again, it just comes back to the depth of the squad, doesn't it? He doesn't start in my best Wolves 11.
Well, does he start on Saturday if everyone's fit?
No. But we still need to have options, and he's an option, and he's a forward-thinking option, and he's like you said, probably looks okay, looks good enough to be that player. He might not want to be that player. He might want to go to Forest and be the main man and look at me again, a bit like he was at Sheffield. I did notice a couple of petulant acts on Saturday when he didn't get the ball played into him, and he was. I don't like to see that. I'm not interested in that. So if you don't want to be a pal, do one. And if you get,
I think Jesse Lingard will have something to say about the main man thing and all, won't he?
Well, exactly. And you look at. I don't want to talk about Forest. I'm not here to, but you can't see that working, can you? And probably in 12 months' time, he'll be back as a Championship player again. So he's got to make a decision himself. If he wants to be a proven Premier League footballer but not play 38 games, it's Wolves. If he wants to play week in, week out but might end up back in the Championship come next August, it's Forest. But yeah, for the money, 30. And if that meant to me, we can get another midfielder, another forward player, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
So if that means we keep Adama, I'm sold on it. Because I think if you look at all of our attacking options, you look at Neto, Podence, Gibbs-White, Adama, who are you getting rid of if you've got to get rid of one of them? For me, Gibbs-White's the first one out the door. So if we could get Traore to sign a new deal on the back of this with the finances available to us, he signs a 3-year deal. I know it's pie in the sky, he might not. But if we keep Adama...
They're only talking about maybe, with 1 year to go on his deal, 10 million for Traore. So it's got to the point now, you think, well, you might as well just let him run his contract down there.
Well, really. Surely that's better for him because he can put himself in the shop window.
Yeah, and also then, if Wolves have a really good season, and he may actually want to sign a new deal then anyway. But for the sake of 10 million, I'd rather have him around the place now. Really,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And he's a good lad. He ain't gonna sulk. He ain't gonna spit the dummy. He's a good lad to have about the place. He's quite humble, except when he goes
Gibbs-White might
top with his name on the back.
Well, this is a question. Yeah, mate. But it was his Spain debut top. There's not many people who could pull that off. Adama can, and he was buying crunching nut cornflakes. Good luck to the lads. What I would say though about Gibbs-White, I'd love your opinion on this, Knocker. Are we playing a dangerous game? Are we being too greedy? Because we're all on here agreeing. Don't get me wrong. If he signs the deal and smashes it, brilliant. Because Wolves are winning. That's all that matters to me. But are we playing a dangerous game here? Because what if Forest land another target and that's off the deal then, and then Guedes comes in and he's not getting the team? Are we potentially costing ourselves 15, 20 million extra?
Potentially, but we've all had the conversation that we're too nice in the way that we're giving Coady away, and I agree with Chris. Let's be a little bit more fierce and tell them that if you want the players that you deem to be our better players, you've got to pay for them. You can't just come in and take them. And he doesn't want to be here, I don't think. I think Gibbs-White would take that move. I think he'd be pushing for that move behind the scenes. So his agent's going to know that. He's going to know that there is a price that will get Gibbs-White away from Wolves. So, and I think he is their main target. And I think if he does stay, as Daz was saying, that Traore is a good lad and won't sulk. I think you'll absolutely see a sulk from Gibbs-White if he doesn't get that move. So,
well, Sheffield United, they said it themselves, didn't they? There's people at
Billy
Sheffield
Sharp had to
United
read him
said,
in, didn't he?
yeah, and they said he was a nightmare when he wasn't in the team because he was such a pain. Can we afford that? Does any other of our pros here? They're all really, really good professionals. Can we afford someone dropping if they're not playing? Is that healthy environment for a really, really good set of blokes?
No, I completely agree. I think he's one of his potential to, if he does really well, he's going to turn into, the cock of the north, and he's going to be the big one that everyone wants to talk about. If it doesn't go well for him, I think he's going to sulk. No, so for me, I think you just get rid of him. I'd get rid straight away.
He'd have got there by now. If he was that good at his age, I'm sorry, he'd have done it by
now. I agree.
That's a bit of a blunt opinion. Like Ryan says,
Foden.
Oh, exactly. Phil Foden.
I mean, how old?
They in the same team, weren't they?
Same team. They're both 23 now, I think.
Yeah.
He's not 18. He's not 17, 18. He's 23 years old.
Well, he made he came on v Stoke in the cup, didn't he? When he was 17, 6 years ago now.
Yeah. And I just think, in my opinion, we'd be seeing more from him if he was that good. And I wasn't excited by him on Saturday. And you can never do it on one game, but it's not one game. He's played nearly 50 games for Wolves, and I've never really been fully sold on him. So, as I said, 25, 30 million all day long.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to a few questions. We're almost done 50 minutes. Want to end roughly about the hour. I can't afford the hourly rate of these three guys, so I'll try and keep it within the next 10 minutes. Got a few questions. We'll fire them out, and then we'll talk. If Daz has paid his electric bill to get the light on, I don't know, but he's certainly.
Actually, I might need to charge my phone in a minute as well.
Oh no. Question from Matt Ball.
Have you seen the price?
Give it, Daz. Ryan, give it, Daz. He's in a fluster here. He's all over the shop.
Question from Matt Ball. Evening, Bawley. Are we all set for the new season in the fullback area? Semedo, Aït-Nouri and Bueno are wing backs and suited to a 5. It's a really good question. Who wants that one? Yeah, Daz. This one's yours, mate.
Well, Semedo has played as a right back as well, hasn't he? Previously, both a wing back and a right back at Barcelona. I mean, we've got Johnny as well. I take your point on Aït-Nouri. I think he's still better going forward than he is defensively. And obviously, we haven't got Marcel in there anymore, who was a better defender than he was going forward. But again, it's about having the right shape, isn't it? And being well marshalled and having protection in front of them and the players in front of them doing the dirty work when they haven't got the ball. And that's, I think former player said to me that no matter how well you play in a game, even if you're the best player on the pitch, you probably only have the ball at your feet for about a minute and a half. And that's if you've run the game. It's the other 94 minutes when you ain't got the ball that a lot of the games are won and lost. So when it comes to the fullbacks, whoever's in front of them, they're going to have to keep the shape and they're going to have to protect them as well. So clearly it's something they'll be working on constantly, you would have thought, on the training ground.
My take on that from Bawley, Bawley's question is, I like the fact they're all attacking fullbacks because in the modern game, nearly every fullback is good at getting forward and putting crosses in. I don't mind that they're attacking because if looking at Leeds in pre-season, Bruno wants his fullbacks. Like, he wants the forwards inverted, cutting inside. He wants the fullbacks getting high. I think we need attacking fullbacks. I don't think we need a standard defending fullback in this setup. I think he wants to get at people. I think he wants them to squeeze high from goal kicks. For me, I'm happy with it, and I would rather attacking fullbacks than over defensive fullbacks. But we shall have more of an idea on Saturday. Thanks for your question, Bawley. Question from Greg, loyal, regular follower. Evening, Greg. Greg Hickman asks, Greg with 3 Gs, by the way, I'm getting in trouble. Are we in a better position squad-wise this week? No injury updates at all. The silence is deafening. Tough one to answer that because I don't know myself. I mean, I know the WM guys will have their presser probably on Thursday this week, Daz.
Friday, I think it is.
Friday this week, so we'll have more of an injury update then. Clubs don't tend to give much away, do they, in terms of injury news updates? We don't know the severity of Moutinho. However, we did see him on the treatment table when Guedes came in for his sign-in. We don't know much about Raul. Someone mentioned he was a couple of weeks away. So are we in a better position squad-wise? I think we're weaker in the number 9 area because I'll be surprised if Wang's fit after playing on a groin injury for an hour. But Guedes certainly improves the team. So are we slightly better? I'll probably say just yes. Thanks for your question, Greg. Moving on to Mike Allen. Mike says, we talked about, this is the one you mentioned, I think, Tyler. With 38 games in the season, why do Foston think we don't need a full squad until a few games have passed? Tyler, you can finish that one for me.
I totally agree with it. It stood out when I saw him ask it, and I couldn't agree more. It seems now all the noise is being made about new players. God forbid we don't win on Saturday and then it's a tough game at Spurs. You're in a similar position to last season where, you're scratching around for points and suddenly the pressure's on, isn't it? So I don't see any... I'm no expert, like I said. I don't see any reason why Guedes couldn't have signed a week ago, or the players we're linked with now couldn't have come in sooner. So I think it's a great point, and we're not in a position to be able to throw points away. No, not at all.
But and I know we're going back to the start of the show, but I genuinely believe with Fabio or another forward in the game on Saturday, we'd have taken more chances and scored. You can't. Hindsight's impossible. It's great. It creates debate, but our lack of options for me cost us at least a point.
It's not just us either. I mean, sorry to jump in. Leicester, they're in a similar sort of situation. Southampton, Brighton. So it may be just ideally. I mean, Bruno said he wanted his players in at the start of pre-season, and we all want that. Hasn't it been a blooming frustrating summer? It's been like this almost fractious, hasn't it? There's been a lot, it's been like really stressful. Keep looking at what's going on with Wolves and what isn't going on with Wolves, but there's a lot of clubs who've been the same. So it's right. Ideally, it feels like now we've always just not thrown these games away, but been prepared to gamble them away, really, with the fact that we haven't got the deals over the line. But I think sometimes when you're trying to bring in a top player, then usually they might have said, well, you can't have him until this has happened, or there might have been other clubs in for them as well. But it is really, really frustrating. I had a full head of hair before the pre-season started.
No one believes that now.
No, they don't.
on the same sort of topic, Ted P, another regular contributor, thanks Ted. How likely is it will Wolves bring in another centre-back or centre midfielder? One injury in either area and we could be in trouble. Same subject again. For the rest of this window, I mean, we were heavily linked with that centre midfielder. The Wolves local journalist rubbished the story. So, well, there was no link at the moment. Didn't rubbish it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, me personally, I think we'll sign. I think we'll get some kind of utility fullback. I think we'll get a centre midfielder, and I think we'll get another forward. That's my opinion. That's not knowledge. I just think as it's building up now, I think he wants 4 fullbacks. He's got 3 first teamers and needs another right back really in there. Centre midfield, it's been a problem for years. Well, not a problem, but in terms of options, and we all know about the situation up front. We absolutely have to get another non-benign in to compete, play with, and to rest Raul all in one go. Thanks for your contribution, Ted. Just one quick round the table question before we move on to the game. We did one list like last week, but I just want to get you just a quick 20-second answer. Knocker, what league position is deemed acceptable this year? Thanks for your question, Steve Lees.
Based on the current squad, if we weren't to extend it from here, I'd say 12th.
Nice. Daz?
Yeah, round about there. Same as last season, isn't it? But we finished 10th last season. I'd say mid-table, and I'd take that right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a cup run.
Oh, that'd be nice, yeah. I wouldn't mind a little trip to Wembley, maybe 2. Tyler?
Yeah, full house again. I totally agree with what the 2 bald gentlemen have said. 12. Sorry, I'm just looking. We're looking for 50 minutes of these. Right, Fred. It's just got 2, but all right.
So you've got an echo.
It's Greg Wallace. Hitler.
Right, lads. Who's got an echo?
It might be me to charge my phone. I'll go on mute for a second and get the charger.
We've gone Daleki. Who is it? Oh no. Boys, I don't know what's happened to the show, but it's gone all echoey. Let me just try and read out. Right. Am I still there? There's a lag on the show. I don't know what it is because of that. I will probably call an entity to be annoying for people. So, is it Tyler? Is it Knocker? It might have been Knocker.
That sorted it. We're okay.
Oh my God! It was Knocker. We've saved the show.
Who was it going to be, Ryan? Come on, technical support.
It was going to be. We've got Dazzy's dartboard. I can see lots of beer collections there. I can see his Walter Wright chemistry collection. Fair play, Daz. Tyler, then, so we've got about a minute to go or so. Just looking ahead to the game against Fulham. I kind of say the pressure isn't on, but it kind of is on, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. And firstly, I apologise for calling them right said Fred because they've both disappeared since I said that. So sorry, Jeds. No, I think it is, Ryan. I genuinely... You can't say must win after a game, can you? You sound like a right donut, but certainly can't lose the game, can they? You don't want to play Leeds and Fulham and come away with no points. So I think the pressure is on slightly. I'd like to see the new guy start. He's obviously fit. He's obviously strong. He's obviously ready to play. I just hope we can nick it, to be honest, but I'm not overly confident. Fulham had a good start. They looked very impressive against Liverpool. I think it'll be
their big centre midfielder looked quite good, didn't they?
Yeah, he was all right. He was here. He looked all right, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded him, but there's no room in the team for him now, I'm afraid. We don't too many holding midfielders. Knocker, it was your sound, mate, because as soon as you deleted it, unbelievably, your sound brings the show a different name again. But the minute Tyler drops in the right said Fred, both you boys disappear. So there's a lot of sulking. The banter's gone too far. Daz is still there. He's muted. Is he? There he is. There he is. Is it Daz? Have we lost Daz? Oh no, Daz has gone. I think it's Daz. Daz and Knocker. Honestly, they've absolutely done us. Tyler, give it. There we go. Tyler, give us your prediction. First scorer and score for Saturday, please.
As you know, I'm not normally too positive, but I'm going 2-1 and the new boy to open his account.
Oh, yes, please. Knocker,
Nice.
let's have some of that love.
1-1, Mitrovic.
Oh, dear me.
I think Fulham are a good side. I think they're a good team. I think they're going to cause us trouble.
2-0.
Not with that.
2-0.
Who's going to score first?
Kilman.
Lovely, that'll do. I'm going to go with 3-0 Wolves. I'm going to go with Daniel Podence. Hey, I've got to be positive. This has been episode 35 of the Wolves Report. Thank you so much to BBC WM's Daz Hale for joining us. You can join him every weekday at 6 o'clock for football phone-in and on Saturdays when he's hosting the football show. Mark Knock, thank you very much. Chris Tyler, thank you very much. Gentlemen, this has been ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 35 of the Wolves Report. Look forward to seeing you again next week, hopefully after a win. Up the Wolves.